In this video I'm gonna show you how I made this sick looking wooden board. We started with laser cutting a frame, glue it to some planks like these ones, and I steam banded some sticks of wood to make the rails. Welcome back to the G-Foils channel. I'm gonna show you step by step how I made this board. First we started with AKUshaper to make the outline of the board and added some ribs every 15 centimeter by just adding a slice every 15 centimeters. Then there's a program called Hollow Board Template Maker that you can download for free from the internet, and that makes this AKUshaper output file into a laser cuttable file. Well, actually that's what it says it does, but it's exporting a pretty shitty PDF file in my case that a friend of mine had to do a lot of work on to get it laser cuttable. Thanks again for all the effort, Sanne. Please tell me in the comments if I did something wrong with the program to get such a shitty PDF file. Anyway, back to the project. I went to a school nearby that had a laser cutter, and they were kind enough to let me use it to cut all the ribs that I needed for this board. Once they were cut, the project could really begin. So I went to my shed and started on gluing the stringer. That's what I was afraid of. I bought some paulownia wood at iPaulownia and it showed up just after I glued the stringer, so it's time to unpack it. I ordered some planks, enough for the deck and the bottom of the board, and I ordered some 1 cm by 1 cm slats to build up the rails. The first thing I'm gonna do now is glue 2 planks together with a stringer in between. The stringer I got from Jeroen, my lovely neighbor, who gave me this wood and cut it for me as well. Such a legend. I'm using tape to hold the pieces together while I glue them, so I can put them upright like a pyramid, like this. And there's room for me to put water to activate the glue and glue in. The glue turned out to be working perfect, so I glue on some other stringers and other wooden boards to create the width of the deck. I think this was a success. Improvise. It turned out not to be the big success I thought it would, because the planks weren't wide enough, so I had to glue in another piece of wood. I cut one of the paulownia boards in half, so I could add one to either side of the already glued together planks. So I widened my DIY very professional gluing table so that it now fits the wood and the 2 extra pieces I just cut, and then it will hopefully be wide enough for the board. Back. My very professional gluing table needs to be wider. Okay, so the wood is now pressed towards each other and it wants to go upwards to relieve the pressure. So that's why I weighed it down with all my professional gear, like this pencil holder. Now we let it cure for a couple of hours and then it's glued together and wide enough to be the bottom of my board. So, everything is glued together. I'm now going to remove the excess foam of the glue. And then I think the bottom side of the board is finished. So to glue the frame to the bottom side of the board, which I'm gonna do next, I need a rocker table. This lets me clamp the frame to the bottom skin that I just made and also put in the desired rocker shape. I reused some old wood to build the rocker table and I only had to order the long threads and the nuts and the washers. I spent the whole day building this rocker table. I ended up sawing all the planks that I needed and drilling holes in all the planks so they could slide over the threaded rods of the rocker table. I used the laser cut stringer as a template for the concave I desired, and then I used the nuts to duplicate it on the other side. I glued the nuts with a tiny bit of glue so they wouldn't move, so my rocker shape would always stay the same on the rocker table. I had to saw and drill some more planks so I could use them to clamp the frame to the bottom of the board. Now it's time to start the gluing process. I prepped the rocker table and I started gluing all the laser cut pieces together. Then I put the laser cut frame on the bottom planks and glued them to each other. I used my freshly 3D printed tool to speed up this process, but it only lasted 5 minutes before it broke. And then I continued tightening the nuts by hand. So I left the frame in the bottom of the board in the rocker bank for 1.5 days. So now I'm gonna release all the bolts and see if the frame is now stuck to the bottom of the board with the concave and the rocker shape in it as well. I think the most time of this project so far is in loosening and tightening the bolts of the rocker table. It's crazy how much time that takes, but as you can see, the frame is glued to the bottom planks and we're starting to get the shape of a surfboard now. Nice! To speed up future clamping, I took the rocker bank inside with my girlfriend and cut down the way too long threads. As you can see, there's still a bit of flex in the wooden planks. They didn't follow the curve of the rocker exactly. So I'm gonna use the clamp again when gluing in the rails. So hopefully when the rails are glued, the exact rocker template is being followed. So now I'm gonna build up the rails. I'm gonna use multiple pieces of wood that are 1 by 1 centimeter and they're very long, I think about 2 meters. And I'm gonna trim them down so they are curved at the bottom and the top and they can slot into each other and follow the tight bends of the rail. I made a jig for this process using my 3D printer and I borrowed Jeroen's router, thanks again. And then I spent multiple hours pushing these strips of wood through my jig. Okay guys, so I took some old rain pipe, I don't know what you call it, and I cut it in tiny little pieces like this that I wrapped around, and in this way they clamp my first rail piece. So I was doing a mock-up, and then I put too much pressure on it and it broke. So I definitely have to steam it before I glue it down. I also need to get more of those clamps, because they are a lot stronger than these homemade ones. And I think I'm gonna trim the bottom side of the board down first, so my clamps can reach, because this is too much of a distance to reach. So that's it for part 1 of this wooden surfboard building series. In the next episode we're gonna steam bend and glue on the rails, and we're gonna glue on the deck of the board. Thanks for watching this episode, and I hopefully see you in the next one. Bye!